Good morning, good morning, good morning. These are the early birds that's going to catch the worms. So very happy to be here. It's an exciting time and also a very exciting opportunity to be seated across all these very important and influential leader that's going to take us through this discussion around how do we lead in an era of disruption. Maybe we can I'm going to set the context for 5 minutes. This is not conclusive. This is more to provoke some thoughts. This is to share some insight and facts. And I'm going to then move to these gentlemen to talk about how they're navigating this landscape that is constantly changing. So we're going to start with how do we lead in the era of disruption. Maybe you can move to the next slides. When we talk about disruption, one of the industries that's constantly being disrupted is media. It is a huge word, but if we only focus on media, actually, even from the early 16th centuries, this has already happened. Technology has always created the disruption in this space. So can we get into the next one? So if before it was print being disrupted, moving into TV, moving into online, the only thing that is different is the speed in which this disruption happens. So if you can move to the next one, sorry. So you probably can't see it because it's in the bottom of these slides. But if it used to take centuries and years, it is right now happening really, really fast. So there's nothing new about disruption, especially in media. What is different is the unprecedented speed in which it's changing the landscape. Now, if we think about Indonesia and the ADEX market, maybe we can get to the next one. Sutanto actually spoke about this. In the past, if we look at the way the ADEX growth against our GDP, you will see that it's growing above. It's almost double the GDP growth in Indonesia. Of course, because of COVID, you see that there's a spike because of the acceleration or the adoption of digital. What is interesting is, after 2022-23, the accelerated growth in ADEX that is usually higher than the GDP is becoming less and less. If anything, in 25, it is slightly lower. This is despite the acceleration in digital. So if you look at the chart on the left side, you will see that TV is declining and digital is growing really fast. Of course, there are many reasons for this. Fragmentation of channels, spending becoming more efficient because you can be more precise in targeting your audience. But there is also another point which is interesting, which is, does the investment into this segment actually grow? Last year, McKinsey actually did a study, and majority of advertisers are saying that they're not adding. They're only 4% incremental spend that is being put into this segment. So that's another interesting fact. Now, next one. If we look at the adoption of technology and innovation, Indonesia has gone through the acceleration. Can we go to the next one? Sorry. Indonesia has, Talking about technology and disruption, I missed the fact that there is the clicker on the stage. Sorry. So if you look at the way that technology and innovation has evolved in this market, in the span of period of almost 10 years or a decade, we've gone from an acceleration, which is called innovation triggered, into the explosion of all these platforms coming into the market, from ride-hailing, marketplace, online travel, and then the consolidation where you see that the enablers like wallets are coming through. We are now reaching a stage of a stable adoption of technology where all the platform that's currently there, consumer are able to use this. This is a place of maintenance where real growth is going to come. So we've reached that space where there's stability, where consumer and technology has found its place, and this is where we're going to be able to accelerate the growth in a much more stable stage. But what's coming up is there is another technology disruption that's coming, which is AI, and also the emergence of social commerce. And if you look at the way that the spend is moving, you see that e-com was garnering about 1.3%, moving into 5.8%, and slowly the social commerce side is starting to grow faster. There is a forecast that is expecting that this segment is going to grow almost 50% of the addicts market in the next 3 years. We also have big companies that are saying that they're going to continue to be aggressive and put a lot more investment in this space. So these are some of the other disruptions that we all need to be prepared for. And not only that, technology is also going to enable all these businesses to scale and to play in this space that is going to be very different to the way we played before. So having said all these things, I'm a marketer at heart, but all businesses know that if you want to generate growth, whether you go through the funnel of, whether you go through the marketing funnel or the flywheels, you still need to make sure that you satisfy the basic principle of communication. You have to reach enough people. You have to bring them down through the funnel, not only being aware of your brand, but also being able to consider why your brand is better than the others, getting them to buy, creating loyalty. And in this space, whether you are doing a business of FMCG with massive retail distribution or a digital-first brands, these are the type of option of touch point that you have to consider. So marketeer, business people, brand owners have to juggle 3 key things. Understanding the basic principle of communication or advertising. How do you satisfy and make sure that you bring your audience, your consumer through the funnels? Choosing from the fragmented touch point that's available. And the last one, which is the reality of all businesses, the limited amount of investment that you have. Now, so those are the key challenges, the context in the market. Now, I'm going to speak to our esteemed guest and talk about how are they navigating some of these challenges that's happening in the market. I need to put on my glasses because otherwise I can't read. So I'm going to first start with Pak Tanto, and I think you probably need the clicker. So, Pak Tanto, as the head of a media powerhouse, how do you ensure that Emtek remains relevant and can deliver maximum value to businesses in this environment that's constantly changing? And I think related to this, I did touch upon the fact that there is a fragmentation of channel. There's also a lot of emergence of maybe cheaper impression in the market. How do you also navigate yourself through that, you know, in terms of like making premium content available? And what are some of the biggest challenges that you see in the market? Sorry, the question is very long, but Pak Tanto has already prepared a list of questions, of answers to these questions. So please go ahead, Pak Tanto.
Thank you, Mbak Vidio. Good morning, everybody, again. So Emtek, the fact that TV is being challenged, so we also diversify our business, right? So if you look at the Emtek as a group, you see a very different Emtek from where we were, let's say, 5 years ago. So now we invested even something that has nothing to do with media. We are into airport services, for instance, and then we are into hospitals. But one interesting thing is that in Bukalapak, Bukalapak is now aggressively moving into retail space. So we set up a retail chain called OSAFE. So this is like a low cost retail structure in the greater Jakarta area, on Bekasi especially. So we already set up like 100 outlets there. So we want to grow it further. So this is actually to connect back media into the retail area. So that's an example. So that, the business can be very dynamic. So going back to the media as the topic of the discussion this morning. So we also are challenging ourselves. So despite all that changes, there are things that are not changing. So if you look at the media itself, we have been focusing too much on the platform or the content form. But if we look at the fundamental element of the media is actually the content itself. So people are going after the media because they want to consume the content. So that's an area that we have to make sure that we keep on doing well in terms of being the better and better content production company. Number two, it also centralized around the celebrity, the people in that content. So even if you go to the social now, you're talking about like from the mega till the nano, but the fact that you categorize from nano to mega, showing that there is a distinction, that people care about it, right? So this is an area that we need to grow further. So the fact that the TV is still consumed by millions of people every day, we actually have a head start because for two things. One, this is the ecosystem where we interact with the celebrity very intensively. So for instance, in our Sinetron ecosystem alone, we have more than 250 talents. We have 250 actors that we engage literally every day. So that's a good start, right? And then number two, if you go back to the TV business model compared to the others, sometimes that you may not realize that the TV, actually the business model is that we pay upfront for the content and then allow people to watch it. Well, the social platforms, they provide the platform and they ask the content owner or the content creators to pay for the content themselves. So therefore, you see a distinction. For the content that is cheap to produce, then you just simply go to social platform. But if you're looking for a higher budget content production, you have to go to television, or you have to go to OTT, or you have to go to the theater. So that's why there is distinction. People still want to watch content receh, but at the same time, people also want to watch content with quality. So that's why we bring that transformation to Vidio, because Vidio clearly has the similar business model compared to TV, which is why this is like an excellent extension of the TV platform. So with Vidio, we managed to bring the engagement from the TV much bigger. So let's say in Emtek, and then also we go to social platform ourselves to make sure that we have the engagement that is required. So finally, on the, okay, now the other thing, TV is being criticized because it fails to deliver the last mile. So while the awareness is being established, but the question is that how can, let's say, Pak Axton measure the ROI of the investment translated to actual sales? So this is like the new chapter of our transformation that we want to build that last mile. So we started with Vidio. So now, because the Vidio provide a big funnel of watcher and subscribers, so when people watch our content without leaving the watching experience, they can also start the journey by doing the shopping. So because we have the first party data about who our audience is, so we can do like a personal targeting of the right product to sell. So in this case, we partner with Shopee. So then this is what we call the Vidio shopping experience. So far the traction has been very, very exciting. Still beginning, so we are improving the algorithm and so on. So we believe that early next year, we will be able to deliver this in much bigger scale. Now, eventually, the biggest challenge is how we can optimize the bigger funnel, which is the television itself, than to drive it like Vidio. So that's something that we plan to launch in 2026.
Very exciting. Okay, so that's coming from Patanto. Now, as a business practitioner, I guess the question, Pak Axton, how do you navigate through these challenges? And I guess with all these fragmentation of touch point, how do you choose the right media mix for your brand? Because I know that you also have a lot of brands in the portfolio of Indofood.
I think, thank you so much for inviting to speak in this event. It's a very good event. And I like the fact that Pak Tanto touched upon on the creative side and the content side of the media mix, yeah, which is very important as well. So as you know, I think if we look at Indofood, we have about 30 brands, and each brand would have their own challenges and their own business objectives within the portfolio. So, for example, we have brands that is old brands, new brands, heritage brands, and also targeting different stages of lives, be it the youth, adult, parents. And so the positioning and the pricing also determine the different business objectives within the portfolio. So what I usually tell my team is that we have to understand two things: customer habits and the consumer journey. And that's the first step of the objective setting for the media mix strategy. A few of our brands, of course, is heritage brands who has been around 30 or 50 years. And I think brands that have survived different generations, from baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and now how do we stay relevant to the Gen Z and the alphas? Yeah. So as marketeers, I think our job is one thing: how do we stay relevant to our consumers? So being caretaker of heritage brands, I think we have a lot of responsibilities on how we have to be courageous enough to pivot, but at the same time, we cannot alienate our current users, which is a big chunk of the business already. So, and also, if we look at the new target market, which is the Gen Zs, we have to remember that they are 16 to 25. They are in different stages of lives already. They're not young anymore. Yeah, 16 to 19, they're still in high school, college. Some are already experiencing first jobbers, and some already being first-time parents. So reaching to these different categories need different strategies as well. I think if we look at, going back to the question of disruption, I think the biggest disruption at this point is not only about AI and such, but the Gen Zs are digital native. That's the big picture that we need to tackle. AI and technology and such are solutions that we use, but in the end of the day, the Generation Z is digital natives who spends about 4 hours a day. I think this room knows it better than us, lah. Yeah. So they also don't trust easily. They are bombarded by so many advertising, they don't trust easily. And so what I would like to say is that UGC, or allowing them to talk about the products or your services, is more important than ever. So if I may share, I think I have a case study, a video that I may share about our Indomie ramen series. So why we created this product is we wanted to be more present in the premium category, and also we wanted to tap into the ramen trend that was going on, and how we can bring that, one is more affordable, and the other one is how to enjoy that at the comforts of your own home and such. So if I may, I think, can we share the video?
Konnichiwa, I'm ramen, the new wave sweeping Indonesia. Though I'm not an everyday indulgence, and for many Indonesians, I'm considered a luxury because my price is a bit too spicy for their wallets. Wait! Indomie saw an opportunity in the ramen wave. Launched the new ramen series. How did they ride that ramen wave to make it their own? Well, Indonesians have tenda makan, legendary eating spots, and the cultural addiction for all. So, Indomie decided to bring an authentic taste of Japan to Indonesia's streets, transforming these tenda makan into the first ever Indomie Yatai experience. The adventure doesn't stop there. They unleashed Yatai everywhere with nearly 200 Indomie Yatai mini stalls. And you know what's even cooler? They even brought the Yatai experience to your phone with e-Yatai. guiding people to the nearest yatai with geolocation technology and connecting them to e-commerce for easy access to Indomie ramen. It was a spectacular debut of authentic flavors and new experiences for all Indonesians, which became a magnet for the idols and the media. That spread across big cities in Indonesia. It became a hot topic everywhere. E-Yatai drove almost 15,000 visitors to Yatai stalls, got nearly 50,000 Yatai visitors from total campaign, nearly 650,000 social engagement trend, earned over 2 billion in media value, became the market leader in the premium segment in just 4 months, and total growth skyrocketed by over 150%. This is a game changer, proving once again the strength of Indomie's authentic tastes and experience in Indonesia. Most importantly, with this campaign, the ramen trend now belongs to everyone.
Excellent. Democratizing ramen for Indonesians. So our next speaker, sorry, you
Yeah, I just want to wrap up the thing, to wrap up the video. I think what we did was we are able to create wadah kali ya, lack of a better word, wadah supaya bisa orang-orang bisa bikin konten sendiri, and that actually helps with the content side. Coming back to the media mix, I think for traditional media, we trust Pak Tanto and the other TV stations to be able to give us the best GRPs to achieve our targets. But for the UGCs that we made, we actually are able to amplify to digital media. Yeah, I think in here, if we look at digital media, it's not only about social media, but also there's homeless media, you know, the influencer networks and such, which I think a lot of the people here understand it a little more than me. And so the UGC allows for the consumers to participate and be part of the brand story. Just to end, I think by empowering the consumers, we're able to create a campaign that is impactful, believable, and also relevant. And at the end of the day, I think that's what marketeers want to achieve. Yeah. So I think, yeah, just to end, I think that's it.
Thank you very much. That was excellent. Our last speaker, but not least, is Pak Yongky, who's well known to be a retail and also consumer specialist. So, Pak Yongky, over to you. What are you observing? How do you see next year?
Oke, baik. Izin Bapak Ibu, saya bicara bahasa Indonesia karena waktunya sempit dan saya harus berbicara padat dan tajam di sini. Oke. Bisa extend, oke. Ketika Pak Tanto kumpulkan sebanyak orang ini, dia manggil saya untuk bicara. Saya tahu dia cuma mau bicara yaitu satu, growth. Bagaimana bisa bertumbuh di sini. Nah, judul kita hari ini adalah disruption. Buat saya melihat, saya bekerja di Nielsen dulu 27 tahun, membangun retail di sana. Klien-klien saya ada manufacturers, dan saya melihat adalah 8 ya, kemarin saya lihat data, 8 dari 10 big spender di ADEX Indonesia itu adalah FMCG, 17 dari 20 itu adalah FMCG. Buat saya ini bahaya kalau tidak ada koreksi ya seperti itu. Nah, saya ingin mengangkat isu-isu bahwa disruption itu bisa baik, bisa jelek. Yang terjadi di Indonesia adalah jelek. Ya. Bapak Ibu colong melihat di sini, ini adalah pertumbuhan ekonomi Indonesia tahun dari zaman Soeharto itu 7,5%, zaman SBY adalah sekitar 6%, zaman 10 tahun terakhir adalah sekitar 4,4% di sini. Oke, jadi ada 3 musim, dan musim yang kita alami saat ini adalah musim tidak ada angin, Bapak Ibu. Ya, nggak ada apa-apa, tetapi tidak jalan seperti itu. Ya. Nah, Anda lihat di sini, ini adalah pertumbuhan retail Indonesia. Dulu adalah kita punya high retail growth karena kita punya middle class adalah mesin pertumbuhan yang luar biasa. Jadi saya panggilnya adalah they living in their first dream. Mereka membeli, mereka hidup dalam mimpi mereka membeli banyak hal ya, motor, mobil, kulkas dan macam-macam. Tapi kita masuk ke dekade yaitu low growth di sini, mesin pertumbuhannya sangat rendah, underpower, dan saya mengatakan mereka hidup dalam yaitu mimpi buruk ya, tidak bisa tidur malah, insomnia karena kebanyakan utang. Sorry, baliknya gimana nih? Oke.
Yang panah, Pak.
Oke, Anda lihat di tahun 2025 ini adalah bottomnya di sini. Jadi Santi tadi mengatakan bahwa kita susah tahun ini. Saya mengatakan 10 tahun terakhir sudah susah. 3 tahun terakhir paling susah. Tahun ini adalah bottom di sini, mudah-mudahan, dan kita melihat retail kita bertumbuh hanya di bawah 5%. Ini adalah nightmare. Kalau Anda punya uang sebanyak Pak Tanto di sini triliunan, Anda mau invest segini, sangat tidak tertarik Bapak Ibu. Ya, kenapa bisa begini? Itulah yang kita mau bahas di sini. Oke, Bapak Ibu, kita Indonesia, makanya saya ingin berbicara hari ini, you akan semua berbicara sepanjang hari adalah digital hari ini mungkin, ya. Saya nggak mau Anda kena digital diabetik, betul? Semuanya manis-manis mengenai digital, Anda telan, besoknya diabetik. Mendingan minum jamu seperti yang saya tawarkan kepada Anda di sini. Oke? Dulu kita di retail itu belanja karena kebutuhan. Jadi mereka ke pasar, mereka belakan di sana. Tapi pelan-pelan karena daya belinya meningkat, kelas menengah terbentuk, kita mulai mencari yang namanya experience, ya, nyari experience, nyari rekreasi, dan kita ladenin di sana dengan cara yaitu membangun bisnis dengan cara membangun brand, Bapak Ibu. Oke, kita membangun iklan-iklan yang bagus, oke, TV merajalela dan sebagainya di sana gitu loh. Nah, masuklah dunia digital. Nah, tadi saya lihat di sana dunia digital itu merubah segalanya. Saya menunggu dunia digital itu adalah akselerasi ke arah bagus. Tetapi kok yang terjadi di Indonesia malah rontok semua di sini pertumbuhannya. Itu yang kelihatan di sini. Dan bahaya buat saya, teman-teman FMCG semua tidak merasakan pertumbuhan, apalagi terakhir di sini ya. Dan di tahun ini masih minus volume minus 1%, Bapak Ibu. Total retail FMCG di sini. Nah, kita lihat di sini permainan anak-anak baru di sini digital itu maunya shortcut semua. Dan saya mengerikan buat saya adalah banting harga, predatory pricing, semua banting harga. Anda lihat di sana, ya, di platform semua belanja, semua e-commerce semua banting harga. Buat saya simple, loyalty akan hilang dengan banting harga, betul? Mereka pikir bisa membangun loyalitas melalui banting harga, tapi salah sekali. Ya, diskon itu adalah loyalty training supaya tidak loyal sebenarnya. Kita belajar di retail. Dulu secara offline kita pernah ngadain 1 tahun. Anda masih ingat satu halaman di koran, Carrefour, Hypermart, ya, dan semuanya. Kemana sekarang? Sudah pada meninggal Bapak Ibu retailnya di sana. Kita sudah peringatkan, jangan main begini lagi. 1 tahun udah penuh di sana. Oke, sudah nggak ada itu nama-nama di sana. Diulangin lagi di platform digital saat ini. Lebih gawat lagi, disuntik triliunan di sana. Mati semua sekarang e-commerce-nya di sini. Oke, so intinya adalah ada satu founder FMCG besar sekali yang sekarang masih leader. Ownernya bilang ke saya di sini dan ke anak buahnya, nggak usah hire sales director mahal-mahal kalau cuma mau diskon doang. Hire aja itu sopir bajai, dia bilang. Banting-bantingan harga, betul? Seperti itu. Buat saya bener banget, ya kan? So intinya adalah we need to create value. Kembali lagi ke era-era zaman dulu mencari nilai-nilai. Bikin advertising yang bagus-bagus, oke, yang mengena di hati. Bukan langsung ke logika, langsung beli. Gitu loh. Di Indonesia ada beli, ada shopping buat saya. Itu beda sekali jauh. Oke? Beli itu cuma transaksi, tapi shopping itu adalah journey, discovery, dan seterusnya sini sana. Ini yang kita mesti kembali ke sana. Ya. Jadi era unicorn sudah nggak ada lagi, sudah habis. Unicorn sudah jadi popcorn sekarang. Bapak Ibu, saya cuma popcorn Bapak Ibu, iya. Oke, so kita lihat di sini di zaman tahun 97-98 itu kita sudah sangat frustrasi, nggak tahu mau kemana zaman krisis waktu itu. Tapi Bapak Ibu lihat 3 tahun setelah itu tahun 2000 disinilah awal pembentukan kelas menengah, yaitu kontribusi konsumsi domestik kepada GDP itu bisa 72%. Ini saya sudah kasih ke Mas Purbaya di sini ya. 72%, berarti apa? Konsumsinya meledak Bapak Ibu. Jadi saya berharap setelah 3 tahun kita susah, ini mulai akhir tahun ini dan ke depan akan mulai naik lagi. Saya punya harapan Indonesia punya GDP per kapita yang naik terus. Ya, di zaman SBY peningkatan GDP per kapita itu 3.000 dalam waktu 10 tahun. Disitulah kelas menengah growing. Tetapi di zaman yang 10 tahun terakhir itu cuma 1.000 dalam waktu 10 tahun. Saya berharap kita kembali ke 3.000 lagi per 10 tahun dan Mas Purbaya ngeliat ini marah sekali. Dia bilang, lu ngeledek gua loh, dia bilang. Ya, cuma 3.000. Marah banget dia, ya kan? Saya bilang, ini saya ambil best case Bapak. Saya bilang, 3.000 dalam 10 tahun. Sehingga 2035 mudah-mudahan 8.000, 10.000. Saya mengambil tes best case dari China. Silakan belajar dari China ketika mereka naik dari 5.000 ke 10.000. Kasus kita ini ke depan. Belajar dari mereka sekali di sana. Ya, so mudah-mudahan kita akan develop yang namanya the second middle class ya, yang akan boom luar biasa. Sekali lagi, tapi saya minta para FMCG semua harus membangun nilai lagi. Jangan diskon-diskon lagi yang nggak karuan seperti itu. We need to create value. Anak-anak muda semua harus create value. Saya sedih melihat transaksi di buying room di retailer antara manufacturer retailer itu cuma transaksi besok minggu depan, bulan depan promonya seperti apa, banting harga seberapa besar. Dulu enggak, dulu kita membangun kategori Bapak Ibu, sehingga itu ya membangun brand. Oke? Brand Indomie saat ini ada di mana-mana seluruh dunia Bapak Ibu. Di setiap supermarket di luar negeri selalu ada di front, ada di display floor dan mana-mana. That's itu apa harga yang Anda dapat dari membangun suatu brand di sana. Seperti itu.
Okay, we're running out of time, but I think it was probably worth the 7 minutes that we were hearing on the explanation. I just wanted to close this with the last thought, right? Very simple. Disruption is going to continue to be there. The key is, if I listen to Pak Tanto and Pak Axton, remember the consumer first and create your innovation, your advertising, your investment based on that, the same as media. And the last point is, yang sekarang mati angin, soon there will be some tailwind. The focus is for us not to lose the priority on building value and not just focusing on promotion. That's it. Thank you very much and have a good rest of the day.